Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this narration of the web novel Humans Don't Make Good Familiars, taken from Reddit. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 58. Suma's POV. This place is enormous, I said, inspecting the new tunnel Von Pack revealed. It's as wide open as the Grand Temple. Von Pack was still weak, but managed to stand and fly over to the opening he created. This place is incredible, Vindicta excitedly shouted. After she yelled out, the room was filled with taunting chants. Incredible, incredible, incredible. Hello, I called out. We were not alone in this place. Hello, hello, hello. With each new voice replying, my anxiety grew. How are they doing that? How are they using our voices? Vindicta asked, afraid. Paxus, Von Pack said, quickly summoning his familiar. He had a good idea. One Vindicta and I quickly did as well. Orgosa, Vindicta yelled. Sentinel, I shouted. Normally I would ask Jake first, but this was an emergency. Jake, get ready for a fight. We're surrounded, I said to him just as he fully appeared. What? He started looking around carefully and quickly. It's too dark. I can't see. Who is out there? Von Pack called out, Show yourself! Once again, the creature repeated our words. Jake looked around, concerned, while Vindicta panicked. Why are they doing that? She said, scared. What are they doing? Jake asked, confused. Can't you hear them? They are repeating our words, Von Pack said, still focusing on the surrounding darkness. Jake looked confused for a moment, then glared, stunned, into the darkness. Then he started laughing. He then lowered his weapon that he had summoned after arriving. Are you laughing? I asked, dumbfounded. I'm sorry. Just, I can't believe that. Jake gasped and giggled. This is serious. Stop your laughing and get ready. Who knows what they want? Von Pack snapped. Jake laughed a bit more, but slowly regained his composure and started to explain. I'm sorry, it's just that there's no one out there. Those are just echoes, Jake told us. What are, echoes? I asked. Jake's POV. Echoes are just sound waves bouncing back off hard rock walls, then coming back to us, I explained. Things like this happen all the time in my world. My people live in places similar to this, so we hear echoes all the time. I guess since your people live in vine buildings, trees, or just tunnels too small for echoes to be of any substance, you haven't had to deal with them too much. How can you be sure? Von Pack asked, still unsure of my explanation. Let me show you, I said. I had an idea. I would use the opportunity to practice my fire magic and create enough light to illuminate the huge cave that I'd been summoned into. I wasn't happy about being here again, but at least this place was open enough for me to stand up in. I sent away Destiny and Igus, then focused on my spell. Fire is a strange thing. It is a byproduct of a high-energy converting chemical reaction that bonds oxygen and carbon into carbon dioxide. It is technically a high-energy gas, so to make it all I need to do is burn some fuel. I first imagined gathering oxygen and a fuel to burn. In this case, I decided to use hydrogen since it burns hotter and is already in the air. Then I imagined heating them up like I did with the metal in the blacksmith shop. Before I knew it, I had a 7-foot-wide ball of fire and a few meters above our heads. Incredible, Von Pack said. I've never seen such a pale blue flame. It's so big, Vindicta said. Okay, now I'll throw it over into the darkness and let it brighten up this dingy place, I joked, and then manipulated the spell and flung it into the darkness. I wish I hadn't done that, because, we were not alone. End of chapter. Chapter 59. Jake's POV. I first imagined gathering oxygen and a fuel to burn. In this case, I decided to use hydrogen since it burns hotter and is already in the air. Then, I imagined heating them like I did the metal in the blacksmith shop. before I knew it, I had a 7-foot wide ball of fire and a few meters above our heads. "Incredible," one pack said. "I've never seen such a pale blue flame." "It's so big," Vindicta said. "Okay, now I'll throw it over there into the darkness, and let it brighten up the stingy place," I joked. I then manipulated the spell and flung it into the darkness. I wished I hadn't done that, because we were not alone. "What was that about waves of sound?" Vonback asked as he slowly made his way to the large opening in the wall. What are those things?" Vindicta asked. Along the walls of the cave were monsters of some kind, dog-sized reptilian beasts, I think. But I didn't get a good look enough to look before the light from the fireball faded away. No. Get back into the tunnel, though," I told them as I summoned Igus and Maury. Tunnel, though. The monsters echoed one after the other from the darkness. With what little light remained, I was able to see that it was in fact these things that were echoing the sounds. Their mandibles clicked and twitched as they did. As quickly as I could manage, I created another fireball and moved it to a shadowed area in order to see those things again. This time, I got a better look. They were covered from one end to the other in a greenish scales, has long mandibles and tentacle-like feelers on their head. They had lizard-like bodies, but their heads seemed more like a cross between an insect and a fish. Their ears, or what I assumed were their ears, looked more like protruding fins from a fish's side. "Everyone into the tunnel. I will close the entrance again," one pack said. "Suma, as soon as one pack does that, unsummon me," I told her, keeping an eye on the creatures. They were each beginning to turn and crawl towards us, so I really didn't want to stay any longer. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, like it was going to explode. My ears were ringing, and there was an unswallowable lump in my throat. I really didn't want to get eaten by a lizard ant thing. "I'm not just going to leave you with those things," Suma yelled. When she raised her voice, some of the creatures twitched and slithered closer. Yes, you are. Just for a few seconds," I told her urgently. I turned away from the monsters for a moment and picked Suma up to place her into the tunnel, where Von Pack and Vindicta had already gone into. Leaning down and tossing her inside, I turned to Von Pack and said, "Close it." I was trying to be careful not to raise my voice. I collapsed the tunnel as soon as everyone was inside. I turned around and realized that I was now face to disgusting, scaly face with one of those beasts. Suma's POV. Jake quickly tossed me back into the tunnel that we had come from. Then Von Pack closed the entrance he made. I scrambled back straight and unsummoned Jake as soon as I could. "Jake! Jake!" I cried out desperately. "I'm fine. I'm back home now. Get out of that tunnel," we shouted. We did not argue. We flew away as fast as we could manage. Each of us took turns collapsing sections of the tunnel as we went, just in case they were following us. Von Pack used nature magic as best he could to seal the collapsed areas, but he was now completely out of mana. So Vindicta and I had to do our best, but neither of us specialized in that type, so it wasn't perfect. If the trip to that opening felt long, then the trip away was an eternity. But we went as fast as we could manage. There was no care about safety while flying. Several times I clipped my wings in the narrow tunnel, but I forced myself to power through and not slow the others down. "I don't think they are following us, but don't slow down. As soon as we exit the tunnel, fly up and towards the peak. We need to be sure that we are safe, so I'll seal the exit as best I can," Von Pack stated. "But, you're almost out of mana," Vindicta pointed out. "I will summon Paxis. I can use his mana," he said. "Great plan, but you need mana for a summoning, and you are out," I reminded him. "Jake has enough mana. We can use him," I suggested. Normally, I would want to ask Jake before doing something like this, but I feel like he would agree. "Fine," Von Pack agreed. We shot out of the cave, and I summoned Jake. "Sentinel!" I shouted. Jake began to appear before me, but something was wrong. He was laying on the ground and had blood running down his arm. "Jake!" End of chapter. The algorithm reckons you should be watching this video next, and I recommend that you should be always watching my videos. So, click. With Anna! Archie! And yes, clicking that does help the channel. Thank you very much. I would just quickly like to give thanks to our Tier 5 members. Elithia, Barkey, Feudicuel, Meridian117, Cam Maxwell, Caspar Arnholtz, Albard and Gusta, Savage Patch Papa, and Lord Azrakal.